watching Arise, the world's standout news channel. Arise News, awards, and beyond.
وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. اللهم اجعل هذا اليوم يوم فرح ويوم عزيزا يا رب العالمين. اللهم ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. لا إله إلا الله العلي الكريم سبحان الله رب العرش العظيم. نسألك موجبات رحمتك وعزائم مغفرتك والغنيمة من كل بر والسلامة من كل إثم. لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا مريضا إلا شفيته ولا ولدا إلا أصلحته ولا زوجا إلا أصلحته ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا هي لك رضا ولنا الصلاح في الدنيا والآخرة إلا قضيتها ويسرتها لنا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى اللهم على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم بفضل الله. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you. Please remain standing for a minute. We'll take the third stanza of the national anthem. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed, and so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed. Would like to thank Ibrahim Motola, former Minister of Energy, Malawi, for delivering the opening prayers. Please be seated. Thank you very much.
And as you take your seats, may I kindly request for a resounding applause for the celebrant and his lovely wife, Haja Meiro Tambuwal. Please, a round of applause for them, and a round of applause for Nigeria. Thank you very much. Just very quickly, I'd like to welcome the Honorable Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Architect Ahmed Musa Engiwa. We welcome you. We recognize he's also represented here by the Permanent Secretary, Dr. Shuaib Belgore, OON. And we also just have joining us very quickly, Bishop Matthew Kuka, the Archbishop of Sokoto Catholics, Archbishop of Sokoto Diocese. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please welcome Bishop Matthew Kuka with a round of applause. Mariam, I beg your pardon, Hajia Dr. Mariam Tambuwal, we want to welcome you, but please forgive us. Thank you. Just before we commence, Auntie Eugenia, please kindly allow me to ask everyone standing to please move to the sides. We have a place that is reserved for all aides. We've commenced this event, and we are live on 3 distinct national television stations. We are live on the largest television network in Africa, the Nigerian Television Authority. We're live on TVC, Arise Television, as well as the News Central. Please, can we have your attention as we commence this program, please? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andy. Your Excellency, the Senate President, represented by the Minority Leader, distinguished Senator Abba Moro. Your Excellency, the Chairman of this occasion, former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Excellency Chief Olusegun Okikiola Matthew Obasanjo, who is here today with former First Daughters, the very distinguished Senator Iyabo Obasanjo and Ms. Funke Obasanjo, our own NTA daughter. The former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, former Vice President Namadi Sambo, our celebrant, His Excellency, former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, and his lovely wife, Hajia Dr. Maria Tambuwal. You're welcome. Ranking members of the National Assembly here present, former Chairman of the APC and Chairman FAN, former Governor of Kano State, Dr. Ganduje, ministers, all their representatives here present. Adora, could you help me keep that section quiet? Thank you very much. former presidents of the Senate here present, His Excellency, the very distinguished Senator Mark, former speakers of the House of Representatives here present, Excellencies, Right Honorable Aminu Masari, Excellency, Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara, Excellency, Right Honorable Olubumi Ete, former deputy speakers here present, Right Honorable Emeka Ihedioha, Right Honorable Austin Okpara, Right Honorable Nafada, former members of the National Assembly here present, former governors here present, our keynote speaker, the respected Professor Atahiru Jega, represented today by Professor Tijani Badde, moderators and panelists and our speakers today, Chief of Staff to former President Muhammadu Buhari, His Excellency Professor Ibrahim Gambari, heads of government agencies and extra-ministerial department, members of the diplomatic corps, and I'd like to place on record as a pointer, His Excellency the British High Commissioner, Dr. Montgomery, who is here with us. Members of the international organizations here present. Of course, Dr. Montgomery is here with us, British High Commissioner to Nigeria. Members of the international organization, we have UN Resident Coordinator Mohammed Fall, esteemed traditional rulers here present, their Royal Highnesses, religious leaders here present. Of course, I saw the esteemed Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Bishop Hassan Matthew Kuka, family members of the Celebrant, friends and associates, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eugenia Abu. I'm a multimedia strategy expert, national broadcaster and writer, and I'm your host at this very important colloquium to celebrate former Speaker, Right Honorable Aminu Tambuwal. Co-hosting with me today is raconteur, master of ceremony of note, National Assembly insider, broadcaster, and a man I like to call the voice, Mr. Andy Gabriel. Please give him a round of applause. He's co-hosting with me. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am absolutely delighted to be part of a new beginning, a milestone age in a new year for a former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. Indeed, it's a new beginning. 2026 is the year for consolidation, revalidation, re-engineering, and thankfulness to God for life. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there is every reason to celebrate. There were many friends and family members of ours who did not cross into 2026. I have personally lost a couple of friends and family members who didn't cross to 2026. We are therefore thankful for the life of Right Honorable Aminu Tambuwal, who God has seen fit to attain the senior citizen age, a full, unmitigated 60 years of age. That is the age of reckoning, the age of reflection, the age of mentoring 10 times more people than you already do, the age where your community trusts you and where those a decade younger than you look up to you. This is the age of more charity and kindness.
Excuse me, Eugenia. Please, can we have everyone seated? Please, can we have everyone seated? Can we maintain some calm? Can you please take your seats? Our distinguished invitees, please, can you take your seats? The program is running live now. Please, no further greetings. Take your seats. Please, all officials, Security and cameramen, please take your seats. Yes, Eugenia, please.
Right Honorable Emeka Ihedioha, former governor, former deputy speaker. When I grow up, I'd like to be a politician because he has kept the house quiet, and me and Andy have been trying for 2 years. Thank you so much for helping us do that. As I was saying, that this is the age of reckoning. This is the age where your community trusts you and where those a decade younger than you look up to you. This is the age of more charity and more kindness. This is the age of more pensiveness and more work. Today we gather friends, family, associates to celebrate a man whose role and service to nation and man cannot be overemphasized. At 60, he has done this, seen that, been there. Former governor of Sokoto State, former Speaker, House of Representatives. Here then is a man whose legacy is wide and tall, whose name remains in the annals of Nigeria's history, and who still has so much to give his nation and his community. According to American writer and humorist Mark Twain, do not regret growing older. It's a privilege denied many. Also, we have Cicero, who is a philosopher, says, old age, if you know how to make use of it, is the crown of life. It is a privilege denied many. This is also the age of not knowing where your wallet is. It's also the age of forgetting names of some people. But this for you, Right Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, would be the age of reckoning, the age of joy and happiness, goodwills and good health, and we say amen to that. Beyond his role as speaker, as governor, is a man who is at once father, husband, brother, uncle. Congratulations and welcome to the 6th floor, my brother. Excellency Right Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, former Speaker of Nigeria's House of Representatives. I warmly welcome you to this colloquium in honor of the man whom we celebrate as he turns the corner and becomes a senior citizen at 60. But that is not my job description today, to welcome you all. The man with the responsibility to welcome you all is another brother of mine. He was former governor of Imo State, widely known for his roles in national legislative leadership and state governance. He is an alumnus of executive and leadership programs, including courses at Harvard Kennedy School. Elected to Nigeria's House of Representatives in 2003, representing Abombise Ngopala Federal Constituency, he rose to become the Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives, and is known for legislative expertise, parliamentary reforms, and advocacy for good governance, institutional integrity, and democratic accountability. What you do not know is his pen, and we met in the field of writers. Help me. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, welcome my brother and friend, Right Honorable Emeka Ihedioha, former Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives, former Governor, to now deliver his welcome note.
And just as he's making his way, please permit me to warmly recognize the presence of His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi, former Governor of Anambra State and former presidential candidate, and Bello Mohammed Adoke, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, former Minister and Attorney General of the Federation. We welcome you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, our masters of ceremony. Mr. Chairman, our president, that is dearly beloved, President Olusegun Obasanjo, Mr. Vice President Atiku Abubakar, the celebrant and your dear wife, my sister, former President of the Senate, our boss, Senator David Mack, former Speakers of the House of Representatives, former governors of our nation, the President of the Senate of our Republic, ably represented, distinguished senators, members of the House of Representatives, members of the Diplomatic Corps, our special guest speaker, Professor Atahiru Jaga, who is being represented today by Professor Bande, former rep to the United Nations. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very certain that the masters of the ceremony have established the due protocol. This is not forgetting Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka, who called me last night and said that I singularly ensured he was not invited. But without an invitation, he will shock me to be here. Bishop Kuka, you're welcome, sir. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you all know why we're here. But it's my honor and pleasure to welcome you all and simply to say what you all know. I was celebrating a very, very shy, very, very humble man who never loves to be celebrated. Ordinarily, on a day like this, Aminu Waziri Tambuwal would have been out of the country to make sure he's not tracked to be celebrated under any guise. Aminu is very nomadic. I dare say that he's the most, well, maybe I think Okute has joined that league. Between Peter Obi, Kashim Iman, maybe that your senior brothers in globetrotting. Because that is one man that will be in Taraba early in the morning. By afternoon, Aminu is in Bayelsa. By evening, Aminu is in Abeokuta. By night, he's spending the night in Sokoto. That is Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. So he knows that he's very nomadic. Baba is very strong, but Baba, the way this man moves is something else, a lesson to be appreciated. So that's the man we're celebrating today. He never loves being celebrated. And so, two young men who served under him, led by Abdul Samad Dasuki, approached him one morning and said to him, "Sir, in 3 months' time, you'll be clocking 60. And because we know you well, we don't want to do what you normally do without telling you. So we want to tell you that we have discussed and we're going to celebrate you." And when they went to Aminu and talked to him, I think, you know, he will engage them for a while. And they agreed that, okay, go and see Emeka if you want to get this done. And when they saw me, I know that the coup had been done. The deed had been done. And I said, okay, so we start planning. First, we got him to commit that today would be ours. And we said to him he would not be part of our planning. We'll only bring him here to come and see what we've done. But last night, we said, come on, I want you to have an idea of how we've been progressing. I did what he normally does, because Aminu will take you at the last minute. You know how he behaves. But ladies and gentlemen, we believe that the man had worked so hard for humanity. We believe Aminu is someone who will put his time and effort to ensure that things are done rightly and positively. He's not very extrovertive, but you know he's a great connector. And you know that Aminu is a man you can ask, what can he do? Senator David Mark lectured him very, very well. So he has an idea of what he does. And so we took excuse from his wife and said to her, we're going to celebrate our friend and we want the family to be on the same page with us. So I must say that everything we did, all we needed was his nod. And we have brought him here to see how nice it can be to be celebrated for a man that's given so much to a country. I'm sure you know, beyond Aminu's legal profession, which he dearly loves, you only know Aminu again as a politician, and he's extremely good at what he does. Aminu was a legislative staff, just like me. And when he got to the House of Reps in 2003, he was a member, he was deputy chairman, Rules and Business Committee. And before you knew it, Aminu had, they've done what they needed to do. And Aminu became the minority leader of the House of Reps. At that time, I didn't know how important minority leader was. But a very close friend of mine who was in my committee at the time, Kabiru Omar, kept telling me about Tambuwal. Of course, the 360 member house. I was considered on my Marine Transport Committee. So he said to me, you need to know this man, you need to know him closely. So I got to know him, and I saw he was all over the place. When in 2007, we began to do a few things in the house. Aminu was by Madam Ete consistently. But we said, okay, we have to do a few things. But we knew the man we had to contend with was Aminu. But after that, at that time, he had become, from minority leader to deputy whip of the house. From minority leader on this side to the deputy whip on this side, representing the largest caucus of the House of Reps. And from there, that time he was my deputy, but today he's my boss. President Jonathan, I'm sure he would have loved this part. When the House took a decision as to where to go, President Jonathan had other ideas with President Obasanjo. And we told them that we also have some ideas. So to make that idea work, we had to put forward Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. And once we put him forward, the House, with the cooperation of my sister, Mulikata Kondadiola, the House came to one page. And Aminu did what he knows how best to do and became a very, very stable speaker for 4 years. The people of Sokoto wanted him more than we wanted him. And he went to Sokoto on sabbatical. He's back here as a national player. Ladies and gentlemen, we decided for a man that has done so much, the only presiding officer I know, and Governor Masari will attend to that, to have traveled through the 360 federal constituencies, visiting his members while he was speaker in office. Such a man deserves to be celebrated. That is why we had to go the extra mile to celebrate him. So we thank all of you who have created time in this January to come and join us to celebrate Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. May God bless you and grant you journey mercies when you go back. So we invite you to come and appreciate the man. Thank you very much. You're welcome.
May I call for yet another resounding applause for the Chairman, Central Planning Committee, former Deputy Speaker and former Governor of Imo State. Thank you, and thank you very much indeed. Your Excellency, the distinguished Chairman of this occasion, as we make progress, permit me to single out for recognition some of our distinguished guests who just joined us, and it's important that we recognize their esteemed presence, to recognize the presence of distinguished Senator Natasha Akboti Udua. Please, a warm round of applause for her. As we recognize the presence of distinguished Senator Abdul Ningi, former Majority Leader of the Senate. We have the presence of Alhaji Mohammed Sani Ataba Omolorichiromang Ebere, former clerk to the National Assembly. Senator Aisha Binani, distinguished Senator Austin Akobundu. And we also have with us here His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi and Bello Adoke, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, former Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation. Your Excellency, our distinguished Chairman, today we celebrate more than just birthday. Having counted the number of months, His Excellency, the Right Honorable Distinguished Senator Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, CFR, has spent a total of 720 months, 3,130 weeks, and 21,915 days of grace committed to law, democratic governance, and national service to the glory of God and counting. I'd like that we celebrate him with a bigger round of applause, please. I'll celebrate the celebrant. If you intend to make that a clap, it should come even louder than that. Let it resonate in the corners of the earth that we are celebrating a truly, truly detribalized statesman. And at this juncture, I'd like to invite all of us to please relax as we watch a documentary tagged Tambuwal, A Life of Service. It is a compelling chronicle of law, leadership, and legacy. Today, as we celebrate this man whose life has also defined, and is also defined not just by titles he has held, but also service he has rendered. And I quote from George Okefe, who says, "Where and how you were born is not important, but what is most important is what is most important is what you have done with where you have been." History and posterity will indeed be kind to His Excellency, the Right Honorable Distinguished Senator Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. Please, let's watch the next documentary, Life of Service.
Let me congratulate Right Honorable Tambuwal for his 60th birthday.
From a village
ceremony.
in Tambuwal to the chambers of power in Abuja
60
and the
winters.
governorship seat of Sokoto
It's not an easy
State.
journey.
This is the
for
story of a
Nigeria.
lawyer,
Join
legislator,
his family.
and statesman whose voice has echoed across Nigeria. Born in Tambuwal village, Sokoto State, Aminu Waziri Tambuwal's path began in classrooms and local mosques. He attended Tambuwal Primary School and Government Teachers College before studying law at Usman Danfodio University and being called to the bar.
Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, the time I taught him, he was one of the best students that I ever met in my life. He was very brilliant and a hard-working student.
Those early years framed a restless curiosity, a hunger for education and public life.
I have known him to be an astute, young and upcoming legal practitioner who was practicing then in Sokoto. He had this people-oriented feeling, always wanting to serve. And it was that feeling that explained why he chose to really go the way of politics, and we can all see the evidence.
Tambuwal entered the House of Representatives in 2003, representing Tambuwal and Kebbi. Over 12 years, he rose through the ranks, becoming Deputy Chief Whip, and in 2011, the Speaker of the House of Representatives.
He's actually my leader because he was a member of the principal officers before I became Speaker. So we had a very good relationship from that time. Becoming Speaker, he actually adopted me as his brother in a way that I didn't expect. And during the tough times of those days, I don't think I would have survived without him. He managed to maneuver the affairs of the House of Representatives with dignity at that time.
One thing I can say about Senator Tambuwal is that he's a very good administrator. That I give to him. And there's no day during our tenure that he will not call me in the morning as soon as he enters the National Assembly. Leader, are you in the office? I'll say yes. So he knows that once he is there and I'm there, then we're ready to go. I can say he's a man of vision. You know, he's somebody who is blessed.
As Speaker, Tambuwal became known for his parliamentary stewardship at a time of intense national debate, balancing party tensions and the demands of a change in polity.
Presiding over 360 members of the House of Representatives is like running a miniature Nigerian, and I can say that because as soon as he left, I took over the seat from him, and I can tell you it's not a job you want to do twice. But he was able to preside with uncommon wisdom, and he was able to unite all members across party lines. And because of his love for fairness and justice, at times he was willing to pay the price, regardless of party affiliation, in order to stand for justice.
Tambuwal is a man of courage. As Speaker of the House of Representatives, he led the House with so much courage and independence. He gave the House independence. He confronted national issues with patriotism, zeal, and commitment, to the Republic, and of course, to the sustenance of democracy.
In 2015, Tambuwal left the National Legislature for executive office.
I will discharge my duties.
Elected governor of Sokoto State, where he served 2 terms until 2023. His administration prioritized education, health, agriculture, and infrastructure, often presenting budgets framed as accomplishments and sustainable development.
Aminu has really left a mark in the state that nobody can erase it. Look at the women inclusion in his administration. It's been on record and in the history of the state that it is only his administration that has appointed three female commissioners and insensitive ministries.
Like many public leaders, Tambuwal's record includes successes admired by many and controversies raised by critics, a reminder of the complexity of public service.
So Aminu, nice guy to work with, and till tomorrow, I appreciate our working relationship because it was guided by sincerity of purpose, honesty, and oneness, and of course a determination to sustain the nation state called Nigeria.
Beyond his state, Tambuwal became a national actor, chairing the PDP Governors Forum at times and participating in party and national conversations on security and governance.
Aminu Waziri Tambuwal was a fantastic friend, a loyal patriot, and a dutiful Nigerian. So it wasn't difficult for me when I was leaving as the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum to go against the grain and say to my colleagues that I wanted Aminu Waziri Tambuwal to step into my shoes as the acting chairman and eventually the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum.
In both public and private, those who know him point to humility, prayerfulness, and an insistence on education as hallmarks of his character.
Aminu's life is all about making sacrifice for people. It's not about self. It has never been. Even his recent decisions were characterized by nothing else other than feeling for the people. If he had chosen to be opportunistic, he would have been somewhere now, certainly not in opposition.
Integrity is one of the most important things. That's all, not just in me, but in a lot of people around him. They say people copy you without even realizing. A lot of people that work with him can tell you one thing he doesn't compromise is integrity and family values. These are 2 things. So they fall all under everything. I think so. It affects his day-to-day life.
A career that spans village classrooms to national leadership leaves a mixed but unmistakable imprint.
I happen to be the childhood friend of distinguished Senator Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. We started 3 of us. One of the other person is late now. So anytime we're having anything, whether conflict or anything, we always go back to Aminu for resolution. Since when we were children, he's always the leader. And that we don't even know how it comes. We never sat down and said, okay, between us, you are the leader. But just lead, the leadership is just there.
For supporters, Tambuwal is a reformer and education champion. For critics, a figure whose record must be scrutinized, yet the thread that runs through is service.
I believe Tambuwal is cut out for a job for this nation. I believe he's a future Nigerian president. I believe so. I strongly believe so. Because you hardly see him defining you from a narrow perspective of tribe, of religion, of party. You could see this is someone that understands the Nigerian polity so well that he has Igbo friends, Hausa friends, Yoruba friends, very close friends.
I mean, Waziri Tambuwal and I had a long relationship. I will say since the return of civil rule or democratic rule. And we have interacted in many stages of his political life or political career. I found him level-headed, very consistent, and also very, very sincere. His sense of loyalty is also exceptional. And we have had several political battles together, and which we overcame. And the relationship has been more than friendly, maybe elder brother, younger brother kind of thing.
A life in public office is never simple. Aminu Waziri Tambuwal's journey from Tambuwal village to the corridors of power is a story of ambition, service, and the persistent hope that leadership can change lives.
Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I've always said that these staircases are not made for people like us who wear high heels, because a lady must walk on the staircase. And so we're going to complain. And when we complain, we will say that nobody is thinking about those of us who believe that you can be elegant, you can be brilliant with your high heels, no matter how old you are. So the staircases must necessarily be woman-friendly. You know what I mean? That's what we're talking about. So the ladies in the house, please give a shout out and a clap if you agree with me. Every woman who walks around in the world must be given access, whether she's wearing high heels or not, and the staircase is an obstacle if it is not woman-friendly. The very distinguished Senator Natasha is wearing a great smile over there, considering that. I'm talking about women. How wonderful it is to have somebody who understands you, who follows you through, who tolerates your late nights, who understands your mind, who also ensures that you look the way you look at 60. I'd like us to give a resounding round of applause to Hajia Dr. Maria Tambuwal. When I look at my brother, I know the work is being done. Well done. Great job. Your Excellency, Mr. Chairman, sir, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to greet and welcome those who have been with us that we haven't mentioned. The very distinguished Senator Iriti Kingibe, representing FCT. Where is she? Please raise your hands, ma'am. Oh, there she is. Please give her a round of applause. Would like to welcome the very distinguished Senator Victor Umer, PhD, who is here with us. Alhaji Kawu Baraje, Honorable Aminu Suleiman, Major General Nuhu Angbezo, Would like to also welcome the very distinguished first daughter, distinguished Senator Yabo Obasanjo. Would also like to welcome Ms. Funke Obasanjo, first daughter, both of them. We thank you for being here with us. I see that we have the former governor of Edo State, the very distinguished Senator Adams Oshiomhole, has joined us in the room. Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as I watched that documentary, former Chief of Staff to Senator Tambuwal, Honorable Sada Soli is also here. As I watched that documentary, I knew that a man still has his career in broadcasting, even though broadcasting is not really like politics. And as it is, broadcasting, you know, I mean, we get by, if you know what I mean. Politics, you know. And that gentleman whose voice sounded so deep and so gavelled on the documentary is His Excellency, the former governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, whose voice, as you heard, was that of a broadcaster, a chairman, former chairman, Nigeria Governors Forum. Well done. You might want to look at that side of your life and consider taking up the, gauntlet. You are ready. Oh, you did already. Give him a round of applause. Broadcaster, politician, all of that. We're happy that you are one of us. The other person, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman, sir, I crave your indulgence, whose voice resonated in that documentary for me, was my classmate and friend. We ran around in secondary school together, and she then went on to become House Leader, Right Honorable Mulika Akonde Adeola, my classmate, my friend, my sister. It's good to see you. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we have Honorable Luke Onofiok. Of course, we have Mr. Clement Wanko, Executive Director of PLAC. I'd like to say very quickly that the gentleman who is a man of regimen and who has served his nation twice over is a man I met when I was 16 and a half. He came to visit my school, Murtala College of Arts and Science, Makurdi, as a head of state. And I was this little girl who was lined up to receive the head of state. You can imagine my joy when they told us. We didn't sleep. We were waiting for the head of state to visit our small school. And we were very excited. General Obasanjo came, and we were all excited in full regalia to greet us in this very small school then. Sir, I've never mentioned, but I'm writing a book called Meetings and Encounters. That was my first time of meeting you, sir. Please give him a round of applause. He came to Makurdi to see our school, our small school. I'd like to take a couple of quotes. Nigeria can work, but only if we remain united and put our collective interest above ethnic or sectional considerations. A quote from Chief Obasanjo. National unity is not negotiable. It is the foundation upon which our peace, stability, and development must be built. A quote from General Obasanjo, July 9th, 2018. Chief Olusegun Matthew Okikiola Aremu Obasanjo is a Nigerian statesman, retired Army general, farmer, and author. He is one of Nigeria's most influential leaders, having served both as military head of state and later as civilian president. Beyond public office, he is a prolific author and an active elder statesman, frequently engaged in mediation in governance, advocacy, and Pan-African dialogue. A statesman who has been given responsibility across the African sub-region. Help me welcome our chair to the podium, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Your Excellency. The staircase is not a challenge. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chair.
Please be seated. I want to start by thanking God for this day. And I will want to stand after that on the protocol that has been very well established by the MC, except that I will especially recognize two people. One, my running mate, Atiku Abubakar Atiku. Who, if I can quote that former governor of Kano State, is still running after me. And of course, I must especially recognize, and I will be talking a little bit about him, especially recognize the Celebrant and his dear wife. Senator Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. Happy birthday and many happy returns. I will just mention Bishop Kuka because he came late. And Bishop Kuka, you should remember this. Rapture. When God has come to take all of us to heaven, if you are not present, we will all leave you behind. You know, this occasion, now, before I talk about this occasion, you don't mind me mentioning my daughter, my first daughter, and if I just introduce her or mention her as my first daughter, I will get a bollocking when I get back home. I must introduce her as my first daughter and my first child, Senator Iyabo Obasanjo. Because he said if I just introduce her as my first daughter, they may think that there is a son who is senior to her in the family. I have a nostalgic feeling here. And the reason is that when I came in and I look around and I walk around, it gives me good memories of the past. Good memories of the past. And I feel as if we were playing back the past. Somebody like Senator David Mark. Only 3 days ago or thereabout, I was talking to him, and I said, you know, I've known you for a while when you were a major, and I identified you and singled you out for a difficult task, even major. That time, they were colonels, they were generals. I made you the chairman of the Abandoned Properties Committee, and you did a good job of it. Since then, your path has been crossing mine has been crossing yours, until now that I am going old and I have stopped having path crossing. From what we have heard and from what we have seen of the documentary, and from particularly the points made by your boss and your junior, Governor Emeka Hideoha, your life has been a monumental life of service. Not only in your community, not only at the political level, but at every level, your life has touched other lives for good. And we thank God for that. You know, the governor, Hideoha, mentioned, and I must make the point, that when you are going to become speaker, the then president and myself, as member of the party, didn't quite agree with what you are trying to do. Not because of anything, it's because we felt that if for the first time a woman became the speaker of the House, we should encourage her to remain as Speaker of the House. But you members thought otherwise, and you took your decision, and we supported your decision. And initially, even you yourself, you were not sure of where we will stand, but we stand with you, and we supported you. One thing that I saw in you and had made me admire you very well, not one thing, two things. One is your humility. I believe that greatness in any human being that does not include humility is greatness that is hollow. Your greatness is not hollow, because your greatness is greatness based on humility. The second thing was what you have seen and which I have seen. When you were living as the speaker, you came to me to seek advice what you should do next. And I said to you that having been the speaker in the House, and maybe looking ahead, you should try and do something at the gubernatorial level. I didn't know that you went to another friend of mine to seek the same advice. You went to Amejoda, may his soul rest in peace. And I didn't know, he didn't know, and you asked him to advise you. And he gave you the same piece of advice that I gave you. And you followed it up. You know, they say wise men think alike. Fools too think alike. So, Amejoda and I, without consulting, without knowing, thought alike. And you follow the piece of advice that we separately gave you. And here we are today. For me, I am happy to be here. I am happy to be your colleague in PDP, colleague in the service of Nigeria, and colleague in the service of humanity. And I will say, from what I have seen of you, from what I have heard of you, from what I know of you, the sky is the limit. Maybe if I just say the sky is the limit nowadays, because they say sometime in the past, when you are trying to do something that people regard as impossible, they say you are asking for the moon. But now, people have gone to the moon, they have brought us this soil from the moon. So if you ask for the moon now, it's there. The moon is not just the limit. The moon is the beginning. The Mars is the limit. May God continue to be with you.
Please, can we have yet a bigger resounding applause for the former president and distinguished chairman of this occasion, His Excellency Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. We appreciate you, sir. Thank you. And please, that applause can come one more time for him. We'd like to appreciate you very quickly for brevity of time. We'd like to quickly run through this list. We welcome distinguished Senator Osita Izunaso, PhD, Mr. Damian D. Dodo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Gadai Lachi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Festus Okoye, Esquire, INEC former Commissioner of Voter Education, Garba Shehu, former spokesman of President Muhammadu Buhari. We have Paul Kasim, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Honorable Samson Osage, former Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice, and former leader of the Senate just joining us is distinguished Senator Dr. Yahya Abdullahi. We welcome Austin Okobondo, distinguished Senator of the Federal Republic. We welcome all of you. Please permit me to move on with the speed that this event deserves. I'd like to very quickly, without much ado at this juncture, invite one amongst us, especially to speak on behalf of the feminine folk at this moment. I'd like to yield the floor to inviting distinguished Senator Aisha Binani, a former chairman, immediate past chairman, Senate Committee on Sustainable Millennium Goals. Can we please welcome? Okay, sorry, before then, please kindly indulge me for a bit. Senator Aisha Binani, let me very quickly have the privilege of inviting a man who couldn't join us, but a statesman par excellence, former president and the 14th president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Dr. Goodluck Ebele Azikiwe Jonathan, GCFR, a patriot whose legacy of peaceful transition and commitment to democracy elevated Nigeria's global democratic standing. Can we please welcome him? He's joining virtually. Can we please put our hands together to welcome him to join us on the screen for his goodwill message as a special guest of honor.
First and foremost, let me congratulate Right Honorable Tambuwal for his 60th birthday.
From a village in Tambuwal to the chambers of power in Abuja and the governorships.
It's not an easy journey for a Nigerian. So I join his family and friends to celebrate him today on his 60th birthday. I knew Tambuwal when all of us became politicians. And as a politician, he has done well. He was a member of the National Assembly, became the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and became a governor, and now a senator. To pass through all this shows that he is appreciated by his people who have been voting for him. When he was a speaker, I was the president. And I know the time he was to be elected speaker, we had some issues. We had some disagreement. But one thing I must give to Tambuwal is that the parliamentarians, members of the House of Representatives, believed so much in him, supported him very well. So it shows that he has leadership attributes that are lacking in most of us who are politicians. He's done well. He held the House of Representatives. Within that period, his fellow members, his colleagues, always believed in him. They admired his leadership. And I appreciate that so much. As a president then, I appreciated that so much, even though we used to disagree in some of these areas, but I appreciated the quality of his leadership. So for today, all what I can say is that I wish him well, and I want him to grow from strength to strength. He's been a member of the House of Representatives. He's been a governor. He's a senator. He still has a lot of opportunities. And he should continue to relate well with his people so that they will continue to believe in him.
Very few words, but full of action. Please, another round of applause for him. Thank you so very much. We'd like to appreciate you. Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to, at this point in time, invite distinguished Senator Aisha Binani to please step up to the podium. Remember that she was the governorship candidate in Adamawa State that almost took the seat, but was denied, I don't know. But of course, she's here also as a member of the Central Planning Committee, but is lending her voice to speaking at this point on behalf of the feminine folk. We can do better with that round of applause for her, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Your Excellency, the chairman of this occasion, President Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR. Your Excellency, the former Vice President, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, GCON, Wazirin Adamawa. Your Excellency, the former President of the Senate, Senator David Mark, Your Excellency, the Celebrant, and your beautiful wife, my sister, my boss, our boss of the 7th House of Representatives, and the former governor of Sokoto State, Right Honorable Waziri Aminu Tambuwal. Your Excellencies present here, distinguished invited guests, at this point permit me to stand on the already existing protocol. My goodwill message will be very brief, as I do not have the whole time to enumerate and catalog the lifetime of the celebrant of the day, but just to say who I know as Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. Our path crossed in the 7th House of Representatives 2011 to 2015, when Right Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwal was overwhelming with Right Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, with overwhelming support of the House membership, pull a smart one against forces bent on influencing the House on who to choose as our speaker. The rest of the drama that followed is history. During his tenure as our speaker, Honorable Tambuwal of the 7th Assembly ensured that all the women were assigned prominent roles and positions of either as chairperson of committees or deputies. We were fully engaged, with my humble self serving as the chairperson of Constituency Outreach Committee, even though as a first-time member of the House. After serving as a speaker and having performed spectacularly well, Right Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwal was elected governor of Sokoto State 2015 to 2023. Excellency Tambuwal's administration in Sokoto State represents a turning point in the history of Sokoto State through deliberate policies, landmark legislation, bold appointments, etc. His government entrenched women inclusion in government, public administration, education, and legal protection. We've just heard in the documentary that for the first time in the history of Sokoto State, the Tambuwal administration appointed 3 women simultaneously as commissioners, and not only that, 4 women as key special advisors. Within the state civil service, the administration significantly elevated women to position as permanent secretaries and director generals across MDAs. And at the grassroots level, Right Honorable Waziri Aminu Tambuwal positioned 97 women councillors across the state. This level of inclusion in politics and governance achieved during his tenure, the tenure of Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, have never been done from the creation of Sokoto State till date, period of 50 years. Kudos to you, sir. In conclusion, Mr. President and Chairman of the occasion, let me remind us with what 2 prominent elder statesmen said about Excellency Right Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. The first one is the chairman himself, President Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, said this to Senator Tambuwal 4 years ago. He said, and I quote, Governor Aminu Tambuwal of Sokoto, as a dynamic, talented, and visionary leader with so many opportunities of doing much at a higher level. The second one was earlier in 2018, President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida IBB said, I am very proud of you. Tambuwal, you belong to a generation that want to keep Nigeria as one. You have a good team You have a good team, and I have no doubt Nigeria will give you the opportunity to put your ideas for the good of the country. You are a seasoned politician who understands the challenges of the country and has the potential to fix them. I will be happy to leave Nigeria in your hands. He ended by saying, I will keep monitoring to ensure you do not deviate. At this junction, I would like to say, on behalf of myself, my dear husband, Professor Ahmed Mohamed Modibo, and the Nigerian girl child, Your Excellency, Right Honorable Amin Waziri Tambuwal, congratulations and happy 60th birthday. Thank you.
The very distinguished Senator Binani. We would like to hear another round of applause as she makes her way to her seat. Distinguished Excellencies, Mr. Chairman, sir, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to crave your indulgence. For want of time, we're on live television, to keep your goodwill messages to 2 minutes. The only exclusion being, of course, Vice President Atiku Abubakar. His Excellency will be speaking last on this list, but everybody else will have to stay within the 2 minutes mark, please. We would appreciate that very, very much. It's time now, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, to invite to the podium the very distinguished Senator Liel Imoke, former governor of Cross River State. As he makes his way, please give him that clap that escorts him to the podium, which is very from him. A long walk, and so as he makes his way, please encourage him. Former governor of Cross River State, a distinguished senator, Liel Imoke.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. The former Vice President, I've been advised, the former President, I've been advised to skip all protocols. I will stand on the established protocol. Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, my boss, congratulations. I want to say that for me, I see him in many lights, some of which have been spoken to, and some of which I would like to speak to. Aminu has been probably the most humble of politicians that I've met in recent times, and his humility is overwhelming. And I'd like to emphasize that point, because I think that humility has taken him to where he has gotten to, and that will take him to greater heights. But Amir is also a strong family man. He's very concerned and has time, even in the midst of everything, for his family and his politics, in spite of his politics. And I appreciate that about him. He's always looking out for his family and his children. But beyond that, I'd like to say that when I call him boss, it's because, for me, Aminu represents leadership that Nigeria deserves and has not yet had. And I believe that that leadership is ingrained in him. A few of us have spoken, a few people have spoken to his leadership style. And for me, I admire that very much about him. Even though he's my younger brother, I believe that he has the potential in him because of his commitment to Nigeria to provide much needed direction and leadership. I know that from time to time, when we interact and talk about his life and about his future, Aminu represents what I think is not just the humility which we've spoken to, but represents a commitment to the nation, Nigeria. And his commitment to Nigeria can never be doubted. He's as patriotic a Nigerian as I've ever met. And his patriotism is what takes him around the world, and in fact, Nigeria. As Emeka said, he's as nomadic as you can find. Not for any other purpose, but just the fact that he believes in Nigeria, he believes in this one country, and of course, sometimes that may be good, other times that may be not so good. Your Excellency, sir, Bossman, happy 60th birthday. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to insist on yet another resounding applause for him. Former Governor of Cross River State. Permit me very quickly, Your Excellency, to recognize the presence of the former Governor of Osun State, former Minister of Interior, and National Secretary, ADC, His Excellency Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola. Can you please welcome him with a round of applause? As we also recognize the presence of a chieftain, High Chief Senator Ben Obi. Let's please welcome him with a round of applause as well, as we're being joined by distinguished Senator Idris Abdullahi Umar, former Minister of Transport, Dr. Mahidenge Yeriman Saukoto, and Captain Yahya Abubakar, respectively. I'll keep the recognitions at bay for brevity of time, and just as Eugenia Abu did remind us, please, as you invited over to this side for a goodwill, would like that you skip protocols as much as possible and go straight to delivering your 2 minutes goodwill at this point. In the meantime, we actually had His Excellency Mr. Peter Gregory Obi, whom we wanted to invite, but it looks like he has stepped out. He was sitting very next to Alante, is on his way back. But whilst we wait, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we also have listed here for a goodwill. We'd like to invite the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, former Governor of Katsina State, and Chairman of Third Fund Governing Council, His Excellency Right Honorable Aminu Bello Masari, CFR, to please take the stage for his 2 minutes goodwill. Please, can we give him a resounding applause as he makes his way here? Okay, whilst he's already up, I just saw that Mr. Peter Gregory Obi is just walking in, but we'll have already invited our elder statesman. He'll take his goodwill, after which we'll be inviting Mr. Peter Obi for his goodwill. Can we please have this resounding applause for an elder statesman and an icon?
Our leader, our boss, President Olusegun Obasanjo. I will not call the other names. If you could remember when we called the other names in the house, it was something else. So I will stop at Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. My senior brother and the former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Wazir Adama, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, GCON, the former Senate President, principal officers of the National Assembly, former governors. Mr. Chairman, I have a problem with the 2 minutes, because if we are discussing Aminu Waziri Tambuwal and discovering him with the potential of leadership, if I am not number 1, I shouldn't be more than number 2. In 2003, when we won election to the House of Representatives, I was seeking the office of the Speaker. Himself, Balan Allah is there, Senator Balan Allah. They came together. Since then, to cut a long story short, we have been working with Aminu Waziri Tambuwal up to the time he became the leader, minority leader of the opposition. And he knows how it was done, why it was done. Since then, we have been together with Aminu Tambuwal. Our relationship has grown beyond politics, beyond partisan politics. We have become family friends. He has honored me specifically when his daughter got married in Katsina. In our tradition, when your daughter is getting married somewhere, in that town, you have to identify somebody you trust and make him her guardian. I am the guardian of his daughter who married our son in Katsina. I followed Aminu since that time. I was not surprised when he became the speaker in 2011. You know, we in the House as members, we have a common platform. We know how it was done, Dogalas and the others, how they schemed and how it was done. Aminu, I will pray for you. Certainly you have a good heart. And you know what I mean. There are certain things are not for this audience. They are not for this audience. But you have a good heart. Keep it up. May Allah, in His infinite mercy, continue to guide you, protect you, and promote you for the good of Nigeria and Nigerians. Assalamu alaikum.
Please, can we give the former speaker and former governor a round of applause one more time? We're taking cognizance of the time that we have because, as we told you, this event is live on national television stations across Nigeria and beyond. We recognize your presence, Paul Harris Obole, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. We recognize your presence, Mr. David Olofu. We'd like to welcome you. Thank you so very much. At this juncture, Your Excellency, we'd like to then yield the floor to a man who has become a symbol of prudent governance and accountability, inspiring new generations with disciplined leadership and national hope. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, if your hands are not very busy, I'd like you to please join me in welcoming His Excellency, Mr. Peter Gregory Obi, former governor of Anambra State and former presidential candidate. Can we welcome him, please, for 2 minutes of his goodwill remarks? Your Excellency, sir.
Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, the Celebrant, and the Senate President, let me stand on all due and existing protocols. Mine is very simple one, just to wish my dear junior brother a big and sincere congratulations for joining this age. This is an age you cannot afford. You cannot afford, but to always do the right thing. I know it's 2 minutes. I'll just give mine in 2 minutes. When I had a partner who was 60 years old, and I was 40, and I advised him how to invest his money to be able to make more money, because he was earning 2% in the UK, and I told him where to earn 10%. He said to me, Peter, the normal life of a human being is 80. When you reach 60, you don't take risk again. It's time to reconcile with your enemies, do the right thing, because you don't have room to make amends. Haven't known Tambuwal, haven't seen disunity, and what it can do for development, is a man I can tell you that is committed to the unity of this country, to building consensus. And I urge all of us to always continue to remember him in our prayers. Thank you and God bless you.
Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, would like to salute His Excellency, Mr. Peter Obi, who has done the needful in celebrating the very distinguished Senator Tambuwal. Mr. Chairman, sir, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, there is nothing more profound than having someone with whom you went to secondary school with. They know you in and out. You ran around the fields and attended classes together. It's time for me to invite my sister and friend, my classmate, former House Leader, Honorable Molika Akonde Adeola. You know, when you have a classmate, you can do all things. Molika makes her way up here, and we will forgive 1 minute because we know it will take her 1 minute to get here. So we'll give her an extra minute. You know what I mean? When you have classmates, that's how it is done. There she is. Please encourage her. It's a long walk. And of course, the protocols will stay with the chairman and the celebrant, and then we can continue in our speech. Good to see you.
Thank you very much, Eugenia. Please permit me to stand on existing protocol, but I need to acknowledge the celebrant and his wife, and also the women constituency in the hall. You are all welcome. Today, we celebrate a remarkable milestone, and that is the 60th birthday celebration of Senator Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. As we honor him today, we acknowledge his vision, resilience, and commitment to public service, which is what everybody has been, talking about. As a former Speaker of the House of Representatives, he exemplifies excellence in leadership, bridging diverse communities, and fostering unity amongst all the people he comes across. His legacy has continued to inspire many of our colleagues and even upcoming youths in Nigeria who are also planning to serve, within the political space. Senator Tambuwal is a detribalized Nigerian, and because of this, he has continued to keep and maintain quality relationship with people from all regions of the country. He has no bias for ethnicity or religious beliefs. You can see him in church, you see him in the mosque. I've never seen him in any Babalawo events, but when you are talking of Muslim and Christian, he's always there. Senator Tambuwal is a family man. Right from when we were in the house, I used to visit his wife a lot, and I see the way he, deals with his family. He does not joke with his children at all, and you heard that from the son when he was speaking. Finally, because we're given 2 minutes, everybody has come up here to talk about how people in the House manipulated or went against the government during the speakership. One thing that surprises me is that people keep talking about this event. Only what God wills comes to pass. And I've said it so many times. But when you continue to, talk about events that were not supposed to be, and even when they happened, everything is for good, you are not encouraging those coming up. Tomorrow you will encourage other people to go against the government. So please talking about it. Tambo has been speaker and I've been leader and we are very close. There is no animosity amongst us. So please, there is no need, talking about this issue any longer. My dear brother, I wish you a wonderful, happy birthday. Many more years in good health. And I pray that Almighty God will grant you your heart desires. People have spoken about he's going to the moon, the sky is the limit. I don't know why you don't hit the nail on the head. I will be speaking prophetically this afternoon, whether you like it or not, but mark it today. Tambo has only 2 steps more to take in his political career, and he will achieve it. So, that is it.
Please, another resounding applause for the first female majority leader here of the House of Representatives, the first ever. Thank you very much. As we march on with the goodwill messages, Your Excellencies, we crave on your indulgence, Mr. Chairman, to indulge us a little bit as we take one more before we invite your younger brother. Let me invite His Excellency, Distinguished Senator Adams Aliyu Eric Oshiomhole, former governor of Edo State and chairman, Senate Committee on Interior. Please, ladies and gentlemen, if your hands are not very busy, can we please welcome Senator Adams Oshiomhole.
Your Excellency, former President of Nigeria, President Olusegun Obasanjo, and of course former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Senate Leader, my comrade, Senate President David Mark. Let me join to congratulate my dear friend, former governor, former speaker, and my comrade, Aminu Tambuwal, on the occasion of your 60th birthday. I realize you are such a young man, and may God continue to bless you and bless your wife. When I listen to everything, there is one thing I think nobody has mentioned, that no matter what anybody will say, you are also a radical in your own right. I witnessed on national television, then Speaker Tambuwal, when the police block access to the chambers, you as a colleague determined to do what you had to do. You scaled the wall so that your intention cannot be aborted by the forces of state. That shows courage, that shows militancy, that shows determination. The other point that has been very well made is that the way you manage the House of Representatives at that time, when the leadership turnover was so huge, and you had a diverse house with people with different political parties, and yet you managed it so skillfully that we didn't hear of attempt to impeach Tambuwal. That shows skill, that shows large heart, that shows capacity in leadership to translate into action the diversity of Nigeria as represented in the most populous parliament in Africa, which the House of Representatives represent. The last one, sir, is a personal one. When they speak to your humility, I said, even me as a worker, Mr. Speaker, then, I lost my wife 3 days after you had become a speaker. And I was shocked that the speaker, number 5 citizen or number 4, came to the house of a worker to commiserate with me over the passage of my wife. I don't know how many people will do that. May the good Lord grant you long life, prosperity. But you know there is a matter we were discussing when I was national chairman. We haven't finished it. We must finish it. Otherwise, the matter will go to Alikali court. Thank you very much.
Former governor of Edo State and Senator of the Federal Republic, who chairs the Committee on Interior, we thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you so very much. At this point in time, Your Excellency, our distinguished chairman, I'd like to very quickly plead that the hall is becoming very rowdy. And we also want to plead with those of you coming to the fore for exchange of pleasantries to please kindly let our special guests relax and pay attention to what is going on here. Would like to please kindly request all of you to please be seated and let's have some quiet. Dan Allah ayishuru. Dan Allah. Those of you at the back. Roko muke dan Allah ayishuru. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We'd like to move on at this point very quickly. It is my own very singular honor and privilege to invite a man strong in character, yet a man of action, ebullient, very indefatigable, the man who introduced doctrine of necessity. It is my honor and privilege to invite to the podium the President of the 6th and 7th Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency, very distinguished Senator Dr. David A.B. Mack, GCON, Okpokpolu Kidaba, the National Chairman of ADC. If your hands are not as busy, can we hear that applause one more time for distinguished Senator David Alechenu Bonaventure Mack, National Chairman, ADC, and President of the 6th and 7th Senate. Your Excellency, sir.
Your Excellency, sir, my boss, the former President, General Olusegun Obasanjo, my son, the Celebrant, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Aminu Waziri Tambuwal is a very trusting person. I'll make just one confession and that will end my own statement here. When Aminu and Emeka were struggling to become Speaker and Deputy Speaker, they came to me and they said, sir, whether you like it or not, you are adopting us as your sons. PDP was a very united party, and I was already the president of the Senate. And they said, we were confiding in you that whether the president and his team want us to be Speaker and Deputy Speaker or not, we will be, and you will sponsor us. So I said to myself, how can these two young men put an old man like me in this type of position? Now here is loyalty between Aminu Tambuwal and his team and PDP as a party. And they were briefing me on occasion. They will come to me, they say, want to brief you, sir. I say, I'm going to play golf. Say, no. Well, whether you are going to play golf or not, we still brief you. We want you to sponsor us. I said, sponsor? Say, well, encourage us, as it were. So the night before the election, they came to me and they said, well, this is what we are going to do. But before that time, Dr. Bello was the chairman of PDP. We were in a meeting, and President Jonathan said, where is Tambuwal? So Bello said, Senate President, go and get him. So I said to Bello, he's from your constituency. What is my own? I'm from Benue. He said, well, you are the one who knows how to locate them, and you are the one controlling them. Well, sir, for once, I disobeyed you, sir. Mr. President, I'm making that confession. And to tell you that Aminu is a very trusting person. For me, is my son who is celebrating his 60th birthday. I wish you a blessed 60th birthday, and I wish you God's guidance and protection. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, another applause for the former President of the Senate and, of course, Chairman, National Chairman of ADC. Can we hear that applause one more time, please? Thank you very, very, very much. Let me then very quickly have this very, very great privilege of inviting a man who did not only mentor me, but also contributed immensely in making me who I am by paying school fees for me way back. I'd like to quickly invite our father and the former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a statesman of courage and conviction, whose service over the years as Vice President strengthened Nigeria's economic reforms and democratic journey. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming His Excellency Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, Waziring Adamawa GCON, for his remarks of goodwill. Can we hear that applause one more time for His Excellency as he takes the stage? Your Excellency, sir.
Your Excellency, my President and former President Olusegun Obasanjo, Your Excellency, the former Senate President and also the Chairman of ADC, the Celebrant. I don't know whether to call him my younger brother or my son or both. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, when I was having my vacation abroad and I was contacted to break my vacation to return home and be part of this event, I had absolutely no hesitation to do that. Absolutely. This is simply because today we are celebrating the life of a remarkable Nigerian leader, a patriot, and a leader in the making, who I believe are the kind of leaders that we are looking forward to producing in this country. Therefore, let me use this opportunity again to congratulate Senator, Governor, Representative, Waziri Tambuwal, for attaining this golden age. You have had a lot of speeches, a lot of goodwill messages, a lot of predictions, a lot of prayers. We only hope and pray you will not disappoint Nigerians by making sure that you live up to all those wishes and prayers. Let me therefore use this opportunity to congratulate you, congratulate your family for the remarkable achievements you have made in your political career, and wish you the very best. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Let's hear another. Applause for His Excellency Vice President Atiku Abubakar, the former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, concluding the list of goodwill messages. Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as he makes his way back to his seat, I'd just like to mention those who we had not recognized. His Excellency, former governors here, His Excellency Abdul Fattah Ahmed, distinguished Senator Amusun, distinguished Senator Jubrila, Professor Okumbo, Governor Celestian Umahia, former Governor, His Excellency Hassan Dankwambo, His Excellency, former Governor of Rivers State, His Excellency Amechi, and would like again to salute the former Minister of Energy, Malawi, who led us in prayers, Ibrahim Mutola. Of course, he has already been recognized, His Excellency Rauf Aregbeshola Ogweni. You're welcome, sir. It's good to see you always. I'd like at this point to quickly go to the keynote for this symposium. This keynote is very important for this symposium because it is the keynote that really sets the tone for the symposium. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the title of the keynote is The Future of Democratic Governance in Nigeria. We have a man well respected in the academic, administrator, and public servant, best known for serving as chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission from 2010 to 2015. His tenure is widely regarded as a turning point in Nigeria's electoral integrity. Today, that gentleman, Professor Atahiru Muhammadu Jega, is represented by Professor Tijani Mohammed Bande, a distinguished Nigerian academic, diplomat, and international. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Professor Tijani Mohammed Bande, who is making his way up to deliver this keynote represented by Professor Jega.
Please, once again, can we have some peace in the house? Can we please, once again have some peace in the house? Can we have our seats and oblige our guest speaker to speak to us? Please, if you are leaving, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The chairman of this very important occasion, former President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, the celebrant and his wife, former Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, GCON, other distinguished members present here. I am Tijani Muhammad Bande, GCON, and you know, I am not Atahiru Jega, so I am representing Atahiru Jega because 2 days ago he sent me word that he's unable to be here because of an emergency health situation. And I think because he could not direct Professor Gambari to deliver the paper, he instead directed me to be here. And I am here. Now, a lot of speakers have mentioned the context within which they have related to the celebrant. For both Atarjig and I, the celebrant is not our son, but he is our younger brother, a distinguished younger brother indeed. And Atarjig is very happy to have been asked to say something here. And I will say, on behalf of teachers in this room, I've heard Professor Modibo, I've not seen him, I've known Professor R.A. Shehu, I've seen Professor Gambari, and several others. We're happy that teachers have been asked to sneak into this room, made of really important people in the country. And I'm glad that we have received tidbits that we would not ordinarily have received without being here to hear what goes on that is said or unsaid concerning our political process. So on my own behalf and on behalf of Ataru Jega, we really congratulate the celebrant for this important milestone. But its importance is beyond simply the celebrant. Its importance is to reflect as a society, as a country, about where we are here. Ataru Jega is very happy that this platform is given, because when you have a message to deliver for Nigeria, this is the best place for it now. Ataru Jega lately has been very worried, I know very well, about the issue of elite consensus in our country. The whole question that we have to ensure that we do not rock the boat by our selfishness and lack of planning and search for power or for money unconnected to public purposes. And therefore, it is necessary to use any and all opportunities given to us to reflect and pass on the message concerning elite consensus. And what exactly, in summary, I will say that Jega has given me the leeway to present his paper as I so wish, to edit, to remove, to add. But I have chosen to summarize it in 5 minutes and then summarize aspects of the presentation as he has given it. First and foremost is Ataru's observation that globally democracy appears to be receding after the high point of the 1990s. And this is so especially in Africa. And in countries like ours that are said to be in transition, there has been remarkable backsliding, which contrasts sharply with the hopes and ideas and ideals of the 1990s. Now, he has given a lot of reasons why we are having problems in deepening our democracy in Nigeria and beyond Nigeria. But Ataru Jega is not a pessimist, because he says, despite the real challenges of democracy and democratization in Nigeria, there is a bright future for a democracy that actually is inclusive, participatory, and actually delivers on the mandates politicians run on. Now, that is logically the only ground why Ataru Jega will offer any recommendations. Because if one believes that we are so bad and nothing can change, then there is no point in making any recommendations about anything. So the recommendations Ataru gives should tell all of us that he believes, despite what he has seen as real problems with our democratization, especially in relation to electoral system, that the hunger of Nigerians for what is right and good will carry us through to do the necessary reforms that are needed in our politics and society more broadly. How does he make this argument? First, he defines the topic. The topic is the future of democratic governance in Nigeria, pathways to national cohesion, human security, and economic renewal. He first introduces the concepts. What is governance? We know what it is in terms of any arrangement for certain outcomes in society. But beyond it, he is bent on democratic governance, governance that is inclusive, participatory, and based on human rights and the rule of law. These are critical to democratic governance. He now takes the issue of human security or national cohesion, which is clearly a major issue in terms of ability of a society to find means of working as one in spite of and especially because of the differences in society. Then he deals with the issue, I'm talking broadly of these basic concepts of economic renewal in terms of what needs to be done in the area of production and distribution in our society. And he makes the case that democratic governance is connected to cohesion, human security, and economic renewal. They are concepts that reinforce one another. He now moves to the real question of the current state of governance in Nigeria, which is his major concern. Now, his judgment is that patrimonial and prebendal arrangements have actually demeaned our efforts to deepen democracy in our country. And he has seen what he says, the good, the bad, and the ugly in the journey of Nigeria from 1999 till date, which is, the evidence is mixed, but the trajectory is not good enough. In the trajectory, in terms of attainments, he uses different indices, different methods of getting data, and none of which puts us in a light that we would like. This is something fundamentally that we have to change. He says, beyond a reasonable doubt, the practice of liberal democracy in Nigeria has been replete with the good, the bad, and the ugly sides, and that the practice of democracy is epileptic here. With a few exceptions, he says, many enter into politics or public life to serve themselves, which is something that cannot sustain our societies. There is a lot of inequality, a lot of disregard for the rule of law. This cannot deepen democracy and cannot bring social cohesion. For today, he says that a lot of issues bedevil the country. We know them from Boko Haram insurgency to all kinds of centrifugal forces and communal and sectarian crisis. Certainly, there is no national cohesion if elites mobilize ethnic, religious, regional, and other identities in the search for power. The incidence of poverty in Nigeria is a major matter that connects to lack of democracy, because by every account, there is a lot of poverty and hunger in the land. And this certainly is not what politicians have been mandated to just look and do nothing about. Whether you talk of West Africa or Africa as a whole, Nigeria is not the leader of countries that should give example in terms of being number one, number two, number three. Even in West Africa, we are not number one or number two or number three, which is something that we have to really listen to. Some of the data, you can argue, may have methodological questions, but not all the data is simply created. No, just let me finish. Don't. Let me finish. So, the issue is this: there is a lot of untoward activity concerning how we select leaders without regard for competence or experience or moral standing. And there is a lot of corruption, especially in the way parties run their affairs. This has implications for the country, because when you select people wrongly without regard to public purposes, they're unlikely to do good, and they will reproduce themselves. This is dangerous, because then a system that is bad has a capacity to reproduce itself, especially in the context of poverty, which is a big issue in the country. Now, it is necessary, therefore, that we seek pathways to good governance. We seek pathways to cohesion. The very first element is national purpose. Who are we? What are we as a nation? What do we seek to achieve? As leaders, as followers, we have, each one of us, a responsibility to do something positive. And this is the issue. It's not about government alone. It is about each and every one of us having responsibility to do what is right. But we cannot do what is right alone. We have to have partnerships in order for things to work for all of us. He talks a lot about the problem of electoral system. And in elections in particular, a matter he knows one or two things about, that neither parties nor even elected officials stick with the rules. And this gives an impression that crooked systems are right when they are not. So we need to revitalize our economy, because without an economic foundation, you cannot sustain democracy. You cannot sustain leadership within West Africa. You cannot sustain leadership also outside. This is why, in addition to having a good economic renewal system, you must have a good education system to back it up. Education is key, not only in terms of civic responsibility you teach, but in terms of capacities that are created through education. And through education, some of the primordial sentiments and illiteracy about the country, because there is a lot of illiteracy about what is happening in the country. This can be reversed through dedicated effort. Atahiri recommends many things. Primarily, the issue of legal framework for elections and the effort that must be discontinued, whereby needed reforms are blocked even by those who should make the laws. This is a dangerous thing which he sees as happening. In the same way, there is too much litigation. Everyone who wins is targeted as having won wrongly. And litigation continues, and it further destroys the social fabric. That is why, from the very beginning, establish and run transparent elections. Parties must also respect their own constitutions, and judicial pronouncements must also be sound, because he worries a lot about corruption in the judiciary as well. Now, all of us are stakeholders, Atahiri insists, and this is not a task for one institution, one level of government, and the problems have accumulated over time. So it's not helpful to pick one government, one administration, and blame every problem on it. These things have taken time to accumulate. We have to have the patience and the courage and the competence to address them. Now, there is also need, he says, for comprehensive and effective security sector reforms, because at some time, in certain occasions, even the security operatives themselves are suspect. This becomes necessary, therefore, that there is very comprehensive security sector reform and involvement of every level of government in what happens. Now, in conclusion, Atahiri Jega recommends careful selection of leaders and the raising of elites that are committed to leadership by example, who are transparent, responsive, and accountable. A bit of patriotism, in fact, a whole dose of patriotism is required if we are to overcome not only the challenges of division, but also the insecurity which has ravaged all of us. Now, the main conclusion is partnerships, collaboration, and vision are needed. And this is the message I've been asked to deliver. Thank you very much indeed.
Please, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, can we, if we came to respect and honor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, can we take our seats, please? Can we please take our seats? We don't want to ask the security to embarrass anyone. Can you please take your seats? In the next 30 minutes, we'll be over and we'll go over for lunch. At lunchtime, you can now greet those you want to greet. Can you please take your seats? Gentlemen, can you please take your seats?
Members of the planning committee, particularly standing with your tags. And you at the back, you are having a conversation with someone. You are a member of the committee. Please, can we all respectfully take our seats? Just as he has announced to you, in less than 30 minutes, we will be out of this place and moving to the next hall for lunch. But just before then, please permit me and indulge us a little bit as I recognize the presence of Senator Neda Imaswen, Senator Aniakan Bassi, Senator Sani Musa, Senator Pam Mwadkom, and of course Senator Victor Ume OFR. Chief S.I. Ahmed, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Ede, we welcome you. S.Y. Ologunsa, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Moses Ebute, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Former Governor of Cross River State, Donald Duke, we recognize the presence. And we also want to appreciate the presence of Senator Sanusi Dagash, former Minister of Works. Mrs. Laurentia Malam, former Minister, we welcome you. And of course, all the members of the House of Representatives here in their very large numbers, Honorable Samson Okwan, Honorable Pete, Professor Lillian Orobu. I think we'll keep these recognitions at bay because it's a long list. Rabia Teknais, we'd like to welcome you. Thank you so very much. Moving on very quickly, Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to invite a man that needs no introduction. He's been a columnist, he's been an editor-in-chief of one of our very popular tabloids here in Nigeria. And of course, he rose to become the Chief Press Secretary to erstwhile President of Nigeria, Alhaji Yaradua. But at this point in time, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the onus is on him to come mount the podium for a very special reason. Please join me in welcoming Olusegun Adeniyi. Please, a round of applause for him.
The chairman of this occasion, President Olusegun Obasanjo, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, with the tone already set by the keynote speaker, Professor Atiku Abubakar, it is clear that Nigeria is at a critical juncture on our democratic journey. As we face the challenges of growing insecurity, economic hardship, institutional weakness, public distrust, and so many others. But I am not here to give a verdict on the state of our democracy in Nigeria today, or re-echo what Professor Jega has already said. My assignment basically is to invite the moderator, whose job it is to provoke the kind of civic engagement we need to have from time to time. I will also be inviting members of the discussants, the panel of discussants. Your Excellencies, please join me as I welcome to the stage the former governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, who is well versed in both the theory and practice of democracy in Nigeria. He will be moderating the next session. Dr. Fayemi. Please join me also in welcoming Dr. Usman Bugaje, a former member of the House of Representatives. He's also a member of the panel of discussants. I don't know the sitting arrangement. Maybe you should sit there. Please, a round of applause for my sister, Honorable Nena KJ, another distinguished member of the House of Representatives, who is going to be on the panel. And last, but definitely not the least, help me welcome Professor Pat Utomi, a public intellectual who needs no further introduction. Pat Utomi. I saw Prof earlier. Okay. I couldn't recognize Prof when he came this morning. It's not every day that I dress like this. Doc, good morning, sir. Good afternoon. So I guess we should just sit down, relax, and enjoy the conversation. But before I take my seat, let me share with the audience an observation made yesterday while the Committee of Friends was having its last meeting here. I'm sure we have seen the array of photographs of the celebrant around these premises. The question was posed, where is that photograph where someone whose name I won't mention here was jumping the fence to enter the House of Representatives? Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me say to my brother and friend, Senator Aminu.
Thank you, Shegun. Your Excellency, the birthday boy, my younger brother, Senator Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, our leader and elder, His Excellency, the former Vice President, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, Waziri in Adamawa. So many distinguished people here, so just allow me to also respect the established protocols. This is supposed to be a short discussion on the paper that Professor Bande had already very well articulated. And I think it speaks to the state of democracy in our country and how to enhance national cohesion and good governance. But I think it's right to start by acknowledging that all over the globe, democracy is in retreat. And that recession is probably even more intense on our continent when you see the rise of militarism again across the Sahel. And at least in the last 2-3 years, we've had failed and successful coup d'etats in 9 countries. 6 of that in our own region, West Africa. In Mali, in Burkina Faso, in Guinea, of course in Niger, right on top of us, in Chad, and then in Guinea-Bissau. 6 in the last 2 years. If we stretch that a little further, we've seen this also happen in Equatorial Guinea. We've seen it happen in down south. And of course, authoritarianism is on the rise across the globe, including populist authoritarianism on the back of democratic support. Some leaders have used the instrumentality of constitution to even create constitutional coups. We've known and heard of third-term agendas across the board in many countries. So clearly, we have had to deal with this, and all surveys, major respected surveys of the quality of democracy around the world, speak to these issues, whether it is Freedom House or on our continent, the Mo Ibrahim Governance Index, or even the Afrobarometer. All these surveys speak to a decline in the quality of our democracy. But that decline does not necessarily align with our people's commitment to democracy. Our people are still very, very committed. And Afrobarometer actually speaks to 80% of Africans still believe in democracy, and 80% reject one-party rule or one-man rule, or 66% reject military rule. However, that same survey, the latest survey of Afrobarometer in 2025, speaks to a growing acceptance for military overthrow of democratic government where the leaders have captured the instruments of governance and subverted it against the people. In our own country, we know that there is a certain level of resentment that democracy has not delivered the goods in terms of economic benefits, improved quality of life, security, and progress, generally speaking. That is cumulative. It's not something that you blame on one particular administration, but after 25, 26 years of democratization, Nigerians are not happy with what they are seeing. They may not be calling for coup d'etat or calling for a Venezuelan type intervention, but they are generally displeased with the quality of our democratization. And clearly, many of us in this room are players in that space. And that is why we have here people who have extensive experience of looking at these issues and coming to the conclusion, how do we improve the quality of our democracy? How do we improve on inclusivity? How do we address this winner-take-all problem that we have, in which you can be a minority winner that discounts and excludes other voices in a democratic project? And how do we ensure that those levers of democracy, elections, the media, the judiciary, the legislature, are not subverted in the process of improving the quality of democratization? I've got here with me Professor Patutomi, who has been at the barricades for long, with us in the anti-military struggle, along with Dr. Osman Bugaje, and of course our former chair in the House of Representatives, my sister, the chair of Foreign Relations Committee. My sister Eugenia Abu talked about me taking on broadcasting as a new profession. I think she forgot that I was a broadcaster. I ran Radio Kudirat, and that was a tool of democratization and democracy. So I'm still in the business of broadcasting. So Prof, how do we deal with these issues? You have 5 minutes because our audience is fast losing patience.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished. This is a very serious matter, because if we don't deal with it honestly and digest it well and do something, let me tell you what the possibilities are. Because sometimes we forget what the outcomes can be. We can actually be Sudan. It is very possible. And so we all need to be very sensitive in discussing this matter. Democracy matters. The Afrobarometer surveys that the moderator referred to at a think tank in Washington, where I was a fellow until a few months ago, we actually had the leaders of the Afrobarometer team come and spend time with us, deeply analyzing the test results. Very clear. The point is that Africans want democracy, but they don't like what they see. They don't like state capture, which is what has happened in many countries. They don't like politicians making politics about themselves and not the people. And they don't like the kinds of institutions that are responsible for shepherding a democracy. Many people would like to see everybody who's been in INEC in jail in this country. I can tell you that. Most ordinary Nigerians would like to see that. But how do we reasonably resolve those problems? We have to very sensibly recognize that democracy is about how to give our children a better tomorrow. If we recognize that, then as people, thankfully, most of us here have now hit 60 and gone past it. One of the things we know is that life is very short. And all this vanity disappears very quickly. The only thing that matters is the immortality of giving our children the possibility of saying, our forebears gave us a better life. And democracy can make that happen. I turn to my Asian friends. I've said to severally that I've stopped using Asian examples because people think it's far away, esoteric. The other day somebody was interviewing me and quoted a page from Lee Kuan Yew commenting on Nigeria in 1975. I said, look, I used to give that example. I particularly like to give the example of Mahathir Mohamad and inclusion. You know, Mahathir Mohamad borrowed from Lyndon Baines Johnson after the race riots in Malaysia, after he was expelled from UMNO and then eventually recalled. The point that it is better for everybody to be inside the house, pissing out, than for some people to be outside the house, pissing in. Nigeria cannot make progress. I want to bet anybody here. Divisive nature of society we have now. We won't make any progress. We can deceive ourselves. But inclusion is the first thing. How do we ensure that everybody is inside the house so we can be pissing out rather than outside that house? How do we build institutions that ensure accountability? Government, democracy is about accountability. If you don't have accountability, we're talking about tax. Where did tax become really an issue? Because taxation without representation is essentially a non-starter in a democratic order. That's the Boston Tea Party. Where is the representation that ensures that you can tell how the money that you are taxed, that is collected from your tax, is used? It's not by civil servants running around in SUVs. Go to Egypt. Like I said, I don't give Asian examples anymore. Go and look at what President Sisi is doing in Egypt. The enormous progress he's making everywhere. And you don't see civil servants or politicians running around in SUVs because they are accounting for the use of the people's resources in different ways. We have not encouraged that to happen in our country.
Okay, inclusion, accountability, quality representation. Dr. Bugaji, I would go to the lady in the middle first because she represents part of that excluded group. If you look at our political participation and you see what is happening to our parliament, gender representation is a disgrace in Nigeria. And I'm just asking you, Nena, to speak to that. It's to really capture how inclusion can be qualitatively improved and how that can then deal with all the other issues that have come with our democratic project. Yes. Honorable Koje.
All right, thank you very much. And I'm glad you just didn't sequester me to the gender agenda. But let me say that one of the greatest problems that we have, and I listened to Professor Jega speak, was when he spoke about non-inclusion. But again, it's important as well to agree there's a consensus that democracy is imperiled globally. And be it for exclusion, be it because the people are pushing the very levers of constitutional reach, be it because we have very weak centers or weak centers and strong people that go out of their way to weaken the structure systems and institutions, or be it because it is not truly representative, democracy is obviously imperiled. But as you say, there is absolutely nothing, and everything has been done with regards to inclusion, from sunshine laws to government structures, institutions trying to speak to inclusiveness, to the tokenism by the political parties. But we've come to realize, and the Chinese put it very succinctly, that you can't hold up the sky with one hand. And that's exactly what's happening in Nigeria. That over 50% of the population is excluded from mainstream democratic inclusion. So also, over 70% of our population is below the age of 40. So what is the percentage representation of the youth in Nigeria? It is next to nothing. And I won't speak again about all the other groups. But Professor Jega's paper spoke about an elite consensus. But when you speak about an elite consensus, it is the assumption that there is the well and thriving middle class, that the elite is empowered enough to be a part of the democratic process, that the elite is in the room pissing in, as Professor Patitomi said. But the truth of the matter is that post-COVID, post-bad economic policies, this is the most disempowered that Nigerians have been. And so when you look for that elite consensus that speaks to education, again, as he said, because, of course, one of my favorite quotes on democracy is by JFK, where he says that democracy and learning are indispensable to one another. When you look at the level of illiteracy or lack of education, and even when we do have education in the National Assembly as well as in the governance structures in Nigeria, a large percentage of the people who claim to be educated are roaming the streets with forged certificates. So it therefore brings to the question whether indeed Nigeria is ready with this elite to drive the conversation. Now, as far as inclusion is concerned, I would always say that for there to be true inclusivity, all of us collectively must have a shared vision. What does Nigeria mean to all of us? For all of us sat here, first of all, most of us are first Igbo, for instance, before Nigerian, or Hausa, for instance, or Fulani, for instance, before Nigerian. We must come to the place where there is the inclusiveness of us, where we have a shared vision. What is the Nigerian vision? And I must ask the question that when all of you who were in the progress or in the movement for democratization, could this ever have been the Nigeria you envisioned? Could this ever have been the country you envisioned, where the truth wears the tribal faith? Where government, rather than get better after 26 years, is retrogressing in such a way that the Constitution, which is the bulwark of our democracy, has absolutely no use, where the people who have the most important office in democracy have been excluded from everything that happens in the country. So
Okay. I mean, it's a very legitimate question. What's our understanding of the collective national vision? There may be no consensus around that, but at least there is a consensus on the simple fact that we need to do better than we're doing. And that's the point I would like Dr. Bugaje to address. Can democracy thrive where poverty and inequality is rife?
Thank you very much. Very distinguished excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I think it's a very important occasion, not only for the celebration of the birthday, but I can see here a collection of Nigeria itself, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm so happy that we are all here. I hope before we leave, we can have a consensus of how to fix our country. I would go straight to the problem. The problem, we all are agreed that democracy is receding, democracy is not delivering. And therefore, if we go at this rate, on this trajectory, democracy is not sustainable. Therefore, what exactly are the problems? I think the major problem is that first, the political parties, which are the foundation of democracy, they have no content, they have no conscience, and they have no courage. You look, just take any party. What does it convey to you? Where is the big idea? What is that thing that this party represents in terms of the future of this country? You have a collection of big men in parties, but you can't find the big idea. So what is the big idea? What is it that really, because countries that have developed, you have mentioned a few of them. South Korea in the 60s was the second poorest country in the world. Within just 3 decades, it was on the cutting edge of technology because it has developed a big idea that it was pursuing. The same with Japan, the same with Singapore, the same with every country that has made development. Where is that big idea? We have parties, we have big men, but we don't have big idea. And these parties, like I said, they have no content, they have no conscience, they have no courage. The second thing is that the popular will which is expressed in electoral processes, has been subverted. It is like INEC is precisely there to rig elections rather than to conduct elections. And therefore, if you cannot conduct elections, you might as well forget about democracy, because people cannot continue to be fooled. We know what happens. Last election, people were waiting for INEC to address the issues raised. What happened? In the middle of the night, there was an announcement of a result. The country was asleep, and people just disappeared. Do we want to go and repeat the same thing again? So the popular will has to be asserted. It has to be respected. If we are not, then we are not going to have a democracy. The third and very important point, moderator, is the social contract. This, democracy is sustained by a social contract. We are, as citizens, we agree to be law-abiding. We agree to listen to government. We agree to do everything to pay our taxes, precisely because the government has undertaken to provide for our security and for our welfare. And this is very clear in our constitution. Ask yourself today, where is the security? Where is the welfare? Poverty has more than doubled. Insecurity has gone to to levels unprecedented and in fact inconceivable 25 years ago. We have nothing to say that we have gained from democracy. So on what basis should we have government? If we as citizens have obeyed the laws, have paid our taxes, and government cannot protect us, what is the reason for why government is there? Because it has lost. Now, what are the solutions? Very quickly. I think we have to first find a big idea. And this is tied to the issues that have been raised of elite consensus, where this is the elite of the country. What is our consensus? Where do we want our country to be in 25 years? And what do we need to do to get it there? There is no consensus. Everybody wants his own tribesman, to be president, which is the most stupid idea that I find in the 21st century. Because it's like elites taking turns to destroy their own country. If you ask yourself, the current regime, what is the consensus? They're just talking about my chance, my opportunity. I don't know if my turn, right? So we are taking turns to destroy our country. So the most important step, I think, is to have a consensus. Where do we want this country to be? The second, I think, is to make sure that we have developed metric for measuring governance. One of the ministers in this government once said that one of their achievements that they are giving a lot of money to governors, far more money than they ever had. I thought that's a stupid idea, because first you have devalued the currency, so that money doesn't mean anything. Secondly, the distribution formula is not your own, your own action. It's something that has already been decided. So where is the work that we have done? So they are getting away with these things because we have no agreed metrics to measure governance. Members of the National Assembly, I'm happy a lot of you are here, are doing things that are not really your job. Buying wheelbarrows and building this and this kind of thing, empowerment, is the job of the executive. Your own is to stay and do good legislation for the good governance of this country. You have abandoned this. Look at what is happening in the country. You have kept quiet. You are all here. Why are you silent? Americans are coming. Where is the agreement? What has happened to us? Where are you? Are you sleeping? What is happening?
Okay.
The next most important thing, Kyle, if you please, is criteria for leadership. At the moment, this country has no criteria for leadership. And what happens if you don't have criteria for leadership? Crooks and criminals will find their way. So we have to have the criteria that is in the Constitution is not criteria for, it's a criteria for eligibility. We have to develop a criteria for suitability. We cannot confuse eligibility with suitability. We have to. if the Constitution has not done so, the political parties will have to determine that anybody seeking to be president or seeking to be governor or seeking to be chairman of local government in our party must meet A, B, C, D requirements. Requirements of character, requirements of competence, requirements of courage. That courage of conviction that allows you to do the right thing when you know this is the right thing, not to bother about any other thing. Last thing, this country, and I think my friend Pat Otomi, Professor Pat Otomi made this point, and this is the last point I'm closing with. You see, in the next 25 years, this country is going to be over 400 million. And this country is going to be the third largest country in the world in terms of population, if you look at the United Nations projection, right? In the next 25 years, there is going to be a world water crisis. Africa will be the only continent with sufficient fresh water to feed itself and to feed the rest of the world. If you look at the scramble for rare earth metals, you know, there is a lot we need more than ever before. The kind of government that can really stand its ground, that can really lead not only Nigeria but Africa. Africa is waiting for Nigeria to provide leadership. You all know what Nelson Mandela said. So with this thing coming, the conversation around our politics should be, how do you feed this growing population? How do you house them? How do you provide education? How do you provide health care? How do you provide for this growing population? The conversation I find among politicians is, which tribe is going to take its stand? Which part of the country is going to? Who are we going to? This is the kind of thing that is destroying democracy. We have to wake up to the reality. We have to realize that in the 21st century, knowledge is the greatest capital. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Usman. We can stay here for the next few hours, and these points will be totally inexhaustible. But I want to thank you for highlighting those critical issues you've raised, which coheres with what the speaker actually said around leadership recruitment process. But even when you get leadership recruitment right, and you have people of capacity, competence, and character in office, if it is a majoritarian process based on this cycle of electoralism, every 4 years, we roll out the drums to just have elections, we're not going to have democracy. Elections do not a democracy make. Election is an important part of the process, but it is not the sufficient answer to our democratic deficit. And I think, in addition to what you've said, we need to begin to look, if we want national cohesion, we need to begin to look at other forms of representation. I would say proportional representation. We have just had an election in this country in 2023. The winner of the election had 37%. And that's 37% of 20% turnout. If you believe the numbers. And we add other people other contestants that had 21%, 18%, and 10%, which we have largely excluded. In countries where democracy has improved, they always build it on national consensus, and every vote will be relevant. Every vote will be taken into account. Majoritarian democracy is not working for us. We need to figure out a proportional representation mechanism that allows every vote to count if we want to improve on our system. I will give you 1 minute, Prof, and give Honorable Nana Okejo 1 minute to round up, and then we'll continue this conversation. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for the point you've just made. We need constitutional change to ensure that everybody is inside the house, missing out. That is one very important thing. But even beyond that, the problem of this country is that we're looking for a messiah. This one great man who will solve our problems. What we need is collective responsibility by a group of elite that hold that person that is called president accountable first to themselves before to the people. And they can say to him, no, you can't go that way. We have agreed as the leaders of this political party that you cannot go that way. I was a young man but involved in the Shagari administration, and I know the kind of consensus that came during that time. My favorite game was looking out from my window into Dan Barracks. You know, President Shagari was a smoker, but he never smoked inside the office. He would come out to smoke in the field, and I would quickly dash down to go and engage the old man in a chat. And you will see a true Democrat who believed in the views of all the people counting. It's not happening today, and that's why we are the mess we are.
Honorable. No, you've had your chance. We're talking about inclusion.
Well, thank you very much. I've listened to, and thank you for your great contributions, Dr. Bugaji. But I think that with everything that you've highlighted, the leadership selection process, we all speak as if we don't have 2 years to elections. We're speaking as if there is no government today. And I think that what is most important is that the most important office in any democracy is the office of the citizen. And today the citizens exist. And I believe that we don't need to wait for the next election cycle for us to start that consensus that realizes that we are not only equipped to hold government to account, but it is our duty to hold government to account. And so unless and until the citizens in this country decide that we want a democracy that works, are willing to walk that journey by holding the elected to account, we will never get to the place where we have the leadership selection process that we want. We'll never have the conversations about representative democracy. We'll never have the conversations about inclusion. So I'm going to put it back to the people and say to the people that democracy is not only about the elected, it is more about the people, and the people need to take responsibility for our democracy.
Absolutely. I want to thank you for that final word, and to, of course, put it directly to the celebrant that your job is not finished. Your job has just started. Hajia is not going to take exception to the service you've been rendering. If this office of the citizen must be engaged actively, all of us must play that role. You've been playing it. I totally agree with the speaker who said, my brother can be in Ikotabasi at 8 a.m. in the morning, and he's in Ado-Ekiti by 12 noon. And by 4 p.m. is in Abakaliki. And finally, by dinner time, you find him in Maiduguri, all in the spirit for pushing national cohesion. That job has to continue. We all must join you in doing it. Congratulations. Happy birthday. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Dr. Fayemi and his panelists, and there would be a photograph of the panelists, please. I'd like to invite the celebrant to join them for this photograph, please. And Madame, of course. This photograph is so important, so the celebrant will come and join them, along with Her Excellency, Hajia Dr. Maria Tambuwal, for the photograph of the panelists and the forward-looking moderator and his esteemed panelists. Congratulations, well done. Let's hear another round of applause for them. Okay, so here is a photograph that is a historical photograph. And as this photograph is being taken, I'd like to keep on notice the representative of the distinguished Senate President as we prepare to invite him to speak in a short while. I'd like to invite the former President of the Senate to please join this photograph. He's the only one we're asking to come up now to join this photograph quickly. His Excellency, Vice President Atiku Abubakar. I beg your pardon, sir. Please, sir. This photograph is important to all of us. Would like you to come and join this picture. Thank you very much. The keynote speaker, Professor Bande. Where is the keynote speaker, please? Let's do this picture quickly. Shagun, remain in this picture. Where are you going? No, we won't. Thank you, sir, for obliging us. No, he has to stand beside the celebrant. Okay, so here is the photograph. It's an important photograph. Prof, please, sir. Thank you. This is not the only photograph for the day. This is the photograph of the panelists and the moderator, after which we will take other pictures as the event comes to an end. Thank you very much. Pictures done. You may return to your seat. At this time, it is my singular honor to invite the representative of the Senate President, the very distinguished Senator Goodwill Akpabio, His Excellency, who is the distinguished President of the Senate, is represented today by the minority leader, Senator Dr. Abba Moro. Senator Dr. Abba Moro. Again, let me announce that there will be another photograph in another 10 minutes. Another photograph in another 10 minutes. And once this photograph takes place, many other people will join in the photography, especially the front row. At this point, please welcome the very distinguished Senator Abba Moro, representing His Excellency, distinguished Senator Goodwill Akpabio, the President of the Senate. Please take your seat so we can hear from the Senate President. Thank you very much.
Please, can we return to our seats? There'll be time enough for pictures at the lunch area. But in the meantime, can we please all return to our seats? The former Vice President and the former President of the Senate having a tete-a-tete. We would appreciate if you can take your seats very briefly. We're about bringing this event to a close, but we have the representative of the President of the Senate, who also doubles as the minority leader of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, already waiting to deliver the President of the Senate's goodwill remarks. Can we please take our seats? Kindly return to your seats, please. The celebrant, sir, please may you take your seat along with your wife. The Chairman, Central Planning Committee, former Governor of Imo State, please can you also do us the honor of requesting everyone around you to please take their seats. Cameramen, can we please move away from the fore? All the cameramen, please move away from the fore. Please. The Chairman Organizing Committee, please talk to our guests. The Chairman, sir. Talk to our guests.
Our esteemed guests, please, can you take your seats again? Can you take your seats? We'll be having lunch at the other side of this hall immediately after this program. Can you please, Speaker Dogara, please, Governor Fayemi, please. Please, Dr. Bugaji, Please, can you please take your seats? Take your seats, take your seats, take your seats. Please, Balanala, please, the President of the Senate is about to speak. Can you take your seats? Mr. President.
The chairman of this occasion, President Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, the former Vice President of Nigeria, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the President of the 6th, 7th Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Dr. David Alechenu Bonaventure, Mark, GCON, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I specifically recognize the celebrant and his amiable wife. My name is Abba Moro. I represent the President of the Senate. And this is a goodwill, a tribute. Senator Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, CFR, a milestone of purpose, celebrating a statesman at 60. It is a birthday tribute by the President of the Senate, Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency, Distinguished Senator Goodwill Akpabio, GCON, delivered at the 60th birthday colloquium of Senator Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, CFR, at this event. My dear colleagues in the Senate and other arms of government, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, eminent scholars, friends, and compatriots, it's a day that we are celebrating one of our own at 60, Senator Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. It is a 60 years, not merely a count of seasons, it is a record of purpose. It is an age at which life is no longer measured by ambition, but by contribution. By the quiet, stubborn insistence on service even when the cost is high and applause is uncertain. Senator Tambuwal's record of public service stands firmly within this noble tradition. From the legislature to the executive, from moments of consensus to seasons of contention, he has remained guided by the steady compass, constitutionalism, democratic integrity, and national unity. His tenure as Speaker of the House of Representatives during one of the most consequential periods in our parliamentary history remains a reference point for legislative independence and institutional courage. His service as Governor of Sokoto State further affirmed his belief that leadership must translate ideas into impact and policy into people's lives. What distinguishes Senator Tambuwal is not merely the offices he has held, but the restraint with which he has wielded authority, the dignity with which he has navigated disagreement, and the discipline with which he has remained loyal to democratic norms, even under intense pressure. In an era often defined by noise and excess, he has shown that quiet conviction can still move history. It is therefore most fitting that this milestone is marked not merely with celebration, but reflection. Through colloquium that speaks to the future of democratic governance, national cohesion, and renewal. The theme, therefore, resonates deeply with the values of the celebrant, consistently embodied, and the presence of elder statesmen and iconic leaders such as His Excellency President Olusegun Obasanjo and distinguished scholars all underscore the national significance of this celebration. On behalf of the Senate of the National Assembly, I congratulate Senator Tambuwal on attaining this distinguished milestone. We salute a life of service still in motion, a mind still engaged, and a voice still relevant in ongoing conversation about Nigeria's destiny. As you enter this new decade, distinguished Senator, may wisdom deepen, strength be renewed, and your contributions to our nation continue to illuminate the path ahead. Nigeria still needs steady hands, thoughtful minds, and leaders who understand democracy, that democracy is not just an event, but a covenant. May the years ahead be as impactful as those already lived. I want to thank God for your life, and I want to say that at this moment, with the gathering of the plethora of Nigerians who have seen everything and done virtually everything, brought together by this illustrious son of Nigeria, it is our hope that with their wisdom, from the apostle of the doctrine of necessity to the man who has seen it all and done it all, we believe that this gathering of Nigerians on the occasion of this 60th birthday of Alhaji Ibrahim Tambuwal, Nigeria's hope is alive. And it is, I believe, that if these men gather today to witness this milestone and are unable to rescue Nigeria's democracy, then they will not have a story to tell their ancestors when they get there. And therefore, with your milestone at 60, we hope that the gathering of these Nigerians will rescue Nigeria and place Nigeria on a more formidable democratic foundation. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for the President of the Senate, His Excellency Distinguished Senator Dr. Goodwill Akpabio, GCON, speaking through the Minority Leader of the Senate, Distinguished Senator Comrade Abba Moro, PhD. Thank you so very much. Please, ina son yi magana da Hausa ne, kuma dalili shine mutane na kallonku a gida, kuna tsaye kuna surutu, yaranku da matanku gaba ɗaya suna kallonku a television daban-daban, a NTA, a News Central, a Rise Television gaba ɗaya. Dan Allah dan Annabi mun roke ku, dan Allah ku zauna. Ku 'yan Sokoto daga sauransu da kuka zo daga bangaruna daban-daban, dan Allah ku kama wajen zamanku, sai mu ɗan yi shiru. Because lokaci ne da za mu saurari jawabin wanda ya gaice mu duka muka zo wannan taro. Dan Allah da Annabi mun roke ku. Kai, ku a baya da Allah da ku nake magana. Mutumin da Allah ku zauna. Da Allah kowa ya shiru yanzu. Please, I thank you very much for your kind attention. Your Excellency, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is time we listen to the very uncommon words of appreciation of His Excellency, the Right Honorable Distinguished Senator Aminu Waziri Tambuwal CFR, who stands as a consummate lawyer, principled legislator, and a statesman of rare distinction, from minority leader to Speaker of the House of Representatives to Governor of Sokoto State and Chairman Senate Committee on Lands, Housing and Urban Development, and his lifestyle at 60 reflects unwavering commitment to democracy, to service, and of course, to what I will refer to as a common, an uncommon, and passionate leader. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, if your hands are not very busy, can we hear it for the birthday boy at 60?
Thank you very much, Andy. The chairman of this occasion is our leader, former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Special guest of honor who gave a recorded statement, former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, GCFR, former Vice President, our leader, Waziri Adamawa Atiku Abubakar, the former President of the Senate, who so far is the only one with that record of doing it twice, 6th and 7th Senate, Senator David Mack, other former presiding officers of the National Assembly, the representative of the President of the Senate and Minority Leader of the Senate, Senator Abamoro, the guest speaker who gave us a very, very insightful lecture, Professor Atahiru Jega, ably represented by his brother, Professor Tijani Bande. Great leaders that are here, my dear wife, members of my family that are here, invited guests, members of the diplomatic corps, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a very, very worthwhile time well spent. I am finding it difficult to really find what to say in the midst of what I've seen and what has been pouring out in between last night through this morning up till this afternoon of goodwill and well wishes. I was asking myself whether all of this is really coming to me, that Aminu, that was 60 years, a toddler, roaming about the village of Tambuwal. But is the reality of it. And I don't know how to thank all of you. My friend Ibrahim Matola and his wife had to fly in from Malawi. Our path crossed with Ibrahim Matola when we were both on ACP-EU mission, African, Caribbean, and Pacific and European Union Parliamentary Assembly in Brussels. And we remained friends till today. He had served as the immediate past Minister of Energy of Malawi, and is still very active. I thank you, my brother and friend, and your wife, for taking time to fly in and being here with us all through this event. My brother Emeka had said it all. It has never happened, but they have decided to make it happen. And indeed, it had happened with a very big bang. I never celebrated my birthday. My senior brothers are here, my sister is here, members of my family are here. Every effort by even my wife to celebrate birthday was turned down. But this time around, the master of the coup protein, Meka Ehedoha, contracted some of my younger brothers that I can hardly say no to, led by Abdusamad Dasuki, to come and meet me and say, look, Oga, this time around, please, don't travel. I said, travel to where? They said, you normally travel around January. I said, yes, I do. And last year, I was in Saudi Arabia by this time, thanking God Almighty for all that He has done in my life. But they insisted that, look, please, let us do something to mark your 60th birthday. I said, well, something like what? I engaged them truly to define what it should be. Not a merry-making event, not something that will not resonate and rhyme with the realities of our current situation in Nigeria. And I'm indeed happy with the choice of the theme and the lecture for the colloquium, because it is all about the people of this country. It is all about good governance. It is not about me. It is not about merry-making. It is about looking for a pathway for our country. Whether we like it or not, where we are today is unfortunate. This is not where we expected to be. Those who laid the foundation for this democracy, some alive, many of them are not living. Even in their graves, are not happy with the current situation of Nigeria. Those living who believe in Nigeria, who are genuine about Nigeria, who are not selfish, cannot be happy with the current situation in Nigeria. The only way out of it is for all of us to agree that there is something fundamentally wrong with what we are doing and having as government in Nigeria today. Therefore, we must resolve to work together and bail out the country. Our country is in peril, and we are looking for salvation. And it's a collective process. It is not about partisanship. It is not about political parties alone. Yes, I agree with Dr. Bugadi that the political parties must put forward programs and come out with clear ideas of how to run the country. I do agree. But we must all be involved. Why? Because we are involved as citizens of this country. And we have nowhere to go to. And we have nowhere to run to. But we have to remain in Nigeria and make sure that we do the right thing for us to have the right leadership. Otherwise, what has been described by Pat Otomi will continue to be. People finding their way into the public offices and public spaces, and then making sure that they continue either to remain or to bring in those that are even worse than them into those offices. So it's a collective responsibility, and I, for one, especially with what my elder brother Peter Obi said, and so many leaders, and Vice President Atiku Abubakar said so, that a lot is being expected of me at this age, that I have passed the age of looking left, right, and center, even though I'm yet to get to you, Emeka. I know you are my senior, don't worry. But I have attained this age, and therefore, I must also recommit myself to what I had always believed in, even as a younger person. I may not be taking too much risk, even though I'm prepared to take some of these risks, but I recommit myself to working along with every Nigerian who believes in finding and enthroning good democratic governance for this country. I thank you very much. I thank every one of you who has been here and those who have sent in their goodwill messages, and particularly the planning committee, ably led by my brother Emeka Ihedioha, members of my family and everyone. I thank you so very much. May God Almighty continue to reward you abundantly. Rest assured that by His grace, I shall remain what I have been, and I shall remain Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, sir. Has he spoken as an elder statesman? If he has spoken as a statesman, those of you who believe he has spoken as a statesman, say aye. Those again say nay. The ayes have it. Please give him a round of applause one more time. Thank you very much. Without much ado and for brevity of time, whilst the celebrant gets to his seat, we'll be inviting our spiritual leader and spiritual father, the Archbishop of the Sokoto Catholic Diocese, the Bishop of Sokoto Diocese.
All right, the 60th celebration of the 60th birthday celebration of Aminu Tambuwal, of course, right there, and a lot of people are attesting to his life and all of the lives that he has touched.
You're watching Arise, the world's standout news channel. Arise News, awards, and beyond.